Aho, brothers of the axe. It's Wednesday night, and it's about 10 minutes to 7. Pouring rain outside. Can't go for a walk tonight with the dog. Couldn't go to the gym, so I'm out here in the shop, and we're going to go over what I got at the antique market last weekend. And we are going to do a new episode of Confessions of a Tool Hoarder. And this is going to be episode 6 of Confessions of a Tool Hoarder. So anyway, like I said, it's about 10 to 7. I got the Phoebos Eagle Ray on. I know I haven't been really doing wrist checks like I said I was going to, but here we go. Wrist check. Phoebos Eagle Ray version 1. On the wrist tonight, black sailcloth strap. Got my little cup of coffee here. We got iced coffee tonight. Little Stoke cold brew. Gonna wet my whistle here before we get started. So yeah, anyway, guys, I worked out a trade last weekend with my buddy Alex, and I moved a bunch of stock from the shop here onto Alex's table. Quite a few things made their way onto Alex's table. 3 or 4 finished double bits, more hammerheads than I could even count, a couple nice older vintage heads, 1 keen cutter, 1 was a double oval Dunlap that was Dunlap approved or something like that. I'd never seen that stamping before. I featured that head on a short, I think, at one point. But anyways, very lucrative trade for the both of us. So I'm just going to go over what I came away with from the Golden Nugget Antique Market. And I'm going to go in order of, I guess I'm going to go in order of what I consider to be coolness. So without further ado, this one is a 3.5 pound, full size, and this is an SA Wetterlings. I don't know how old this is. I'm not a very big Swedish axe guy. Let's see here. It's stamped right there on the cheek, 3.5, and we've got, let's see, there is an SA Wetterlings logo somewhere on here. But anyways, just a good old, I would consider this to be a Michigan pattern, or I'm not sure what the Swedes would call this, but nice profile on it, you could see. Nice axe. I don't know how old it is, but nice axe. Paid $10. The vendor was looking for 10 on it, and normally I haggle a little bit. I was there super early. I think they opened at 7 technically. Most of the vendors were still getting their stuff together. So I went up to this gentleman, how much is this one, sir? $10. I'm not even going to haggle for $10. This is worth $10. So paid the man his money. What was that movie? Rounders, right? With John Malkovich. Yeah, but pretty happy with that for $10. And I don't know if I'll wind up throwing this on a handle and keeping it for myself, or maybe I'll flip it, or maybe if one of you guys are more interested in the Swedish stuff and are interested in a trade, definitely let me know, because it's a good old head, and I'm going to get this cleaned up too. Maybe I'll actually do this at the end of the video. I'll clean up this head. So that was the first thing, and it's going to be a good haul when a cool nice shape head like this is the least cool thing that I found. So second thing that I wound up getting, and the rest of these all came from my buddy Alex over at Cheftique. And I know I've mentioned him before, and I think I just did a short recently of you can hear the dog shaking all the rain off, pouring rain out there, and she's in and out of the shop. Where was I? I just did a short on some of Alex's stuff. Alex has anything and everything that you could want. He's super easy to deal with. He loves trading. So anyways, Cheftique sales on Facebook, and I believe Instagram too. Whatever you're looking for, if he doesn't have it, he can get a beat on it. So give Alex a shout if you're looking for something in particular, or really if you're looking for anything at all. Let him know Joe sent you. He'll do right by you. But anyways, without further ado, we got this really nice square label Collins. I'm assuming this is a Homestead sticker here. I'll clean this up. This head isn't worth keeping the half a sticker on, at least in my opinion, it's not. But what I will say is nice clean profile on this bit. And I think this might be a 4-pounder. But we are looking at 5.5-inch cutting edge. And it's about 7.25 inches long. About a 4-inch eye, including the lugs. Not the highest centerline axe. It's a little bit of a flatter profile. But again, I'm not a huge Collins aficionado. Brother Mike Normandy will chime in here, I'm sure. I don't know if some of the earlier Collins has had that high center line like a Kelly jersey would. But it's a nice jersey, and I don't currently have a Collins jersey, so I might keep this. But Mike watches this video, I'm sure I'm going to get a text. And Michael, he might be after this one. It's in pretty good shape other than just some light mushrooming here. Unfortunately, the stamp is kind of dinged up, with the mushrooming. This stamp was stamped a little higher. And interestingly, this is an off-center stamp. So I don't know if that's par for the course with this era of Collins or not, or if that's kind of a misstrike. But either way, nice head. And I suspect that this might be 4 pounds. And I really need to get a benchtop scale because I'm just using the bathroom scale from my house. But let's see. Oh wow, 4.3 pounds. So this is probably an overweight 4-pounder. I knew this thing was heavy. You're going to see something later on in this video, and I was like, man, this is way underweight. If this jersey weighs almost the same as this other axe, but this is a heavy jersey. And now that I say that, I know Mike is going to be after me about this one. So let's just double check that again. Come on, you bastard. All right. Yeah, 4.3 pounds. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Mike. Hold on. That's a 10-pound jersey, Mike. What do you think about that one, buddy? Anyway, yeah, 4.3 and a half pounds. So that's a pretty heavy, pretty big jersey. Get the scale out of the way. Move on to the next one. And I don't know which one of these is cooler. I know which one is probably a little rarer. So I'm going to go with maybe the less rare one. And I will bring this in from camera left here. Yeah, guys. Brother Joe got himself a Norland saddle cruiser. I've never had a saddle cruiser before. Never honestly really went hunting for one. Never was really looking for one. Never had the itch to get one. More so just because I knew that they were super pricey. And after Wrangler Star did that video with Dave Canterbury, that collaboration video, they went even more off the wall. So thanks Wrangler Star for that. He did the same thing with Puget Sound patterns and Sagers in general. You used to be able to pick up a Sager. Oof, pardon me, I'm like half burping, half yawning. You used to be able to pick up a Sager for a pretty decent price, but not no more. But yeah, these saddle cruisers are not cheap, I'll say that much. And I would have never picked this up if it wasn't for in a trade. And just to prove my point about Alex. So these axes go for $200 all day, every day of the week online. $200 typically. Alex had a price tag on this one of $165. I don't know if you can see that. It's still got the price tag on it. Still got the old tagger on it. $165, which I think is a steal of a deal. Now, it's not 100% pristine. There's the tiniest little bit of towing here on the grub side of it. And there's just a little bit of pitting in it. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy, especially for somebody that might want to use this. Is it the deepest stamping in the world? Nah, it's not. But it couldn't be any clearer that it's in Norland. But yeah, I think $165 on this would have been a great price. considering what they're going for on eBay. So goes to show you, and proves my point. Cheftique, you want to deal with him, trust me. But cool to have that in the collection, but again, not married to it. If anybody has anything that they want to throw my way as far as a trade idea for this little saddle cruiser, I wouldn't be totally opposed to letting it go. But at the same time, it's very cool to have in the collection. So I would probably not ever try to replace this again. So yeah, I wouldn't just give it away, but at the same time, I'd be open. I'd be open to some trades. And then again, too, maybe I'll do a video on a Nessmuck Trio. And I'm sure anybody that knows what I'm talking about when I say Nessmuck Trio, there's no explanation needed clearly, but Nessmuck, George Washington Sears, Camping and Woodcraft, the manual, he wrote about, bushcrafting and woods tramping and things like that. And, this was his preferred large chopping tool, was a small double-bitted axe. And the Trio referred to the small double-bitted axe, a 2 or 3 bladed either trapper's knife or stockman knife. Some people kind of have varying opinions on that. And then your belt knife. And in his case, he would use that Nessmuck style hunter with the hump back on it. But the Nessmuck Trio typically just refers to the 3 tools that a woodsman will bring out in his kit. And it usually revolves around some sort of, a chopping implement like an axe or a hatchet. So, but yeah, this was Nessmuck's preferred, I guess, preferred chopping implement, was these little small double-bitted axes. And I believe the story goes that he had his commissioned and forged by, I want to say, Bushnell. Could be wrong on that. I actually just reread that recently, like within the last 2 or 3 years. But there's one whole little chapter of him going to the big city or something like that and getting it commissioned to his spec, a small little double-bitted axe. And I'm pretty sure it was Bushnell that forged it for him. So anyways, enough yammering on about the little Nessmuck saddle cruiser. But again, very cool. Now, this is the piece de resistance. The piece de resistance. The piece de resistance, everybody. And again, from stage left. Yup. Your boy got another Tasmanian. And this is something cool. This is something special here. Nate, this is the one for you, buddy. This is what I was telling you about. So this is a plum, and it looks like it's a round-cornered box plum, Tasmanian. And if you could see this, guys, can you see with all the glare? So it's stamped 5 pounds. Now it's not 5 pounds. It's closer to 4.5. Closer to 4.5, so it's a little underweight. I don't know how badly this is towed. I've heard from a couple different people that the plum Tasmanians had a little bit more of a rounder bit profile than the Kellys. The Kellys sort of had a bit more of a flat profile to them as far as, 2D. But you could see the lamination line here of hardened steel. This thing has... that's almost got 3 inches of hardened steel here. And nice profile on this thing. It is a really, really cool axe. And I'm super grateful to get it. And one of the things that I have heading my way is an Osage orange handle that is a 28 NEC. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go with that 28-inch NEC Osage handle on this, or I may possibly make one. I may hand carve one. And I may actually take a look into those patterns that Kevin sent me and potentially do. He had sent me a 31-inch pattern. I'm not going to say what pattern it is per se, but he traced that off one of his Tasmanians that he uses regularly, and said this 31-inch pattern from this particular manufacturer is just the cat's meow when it comes to a heavy Tasmanian pattern. And I'm going to just wax this sucker up here while we're talking. So I'm thinking, and Kevin kind of said too, so, you know, if you guys don't know Bit and Bark by now, I've talked about him a couple times, but Kevin is super into these Australian Tasmanian axes, and he's super into his Kellys. The Dandenongs are sort of his thing. And he was telling me that his big heavy dandy was initially on a 28-inch, and he said that the 28-inch, you kind of had to work a little bit too hard to swing the thing. He wound up hanging it on a 31-inch custom handle, and he said that it swings a whole lot better, and the weight of the axe gets the work done more so than you having to put a lot of ass behind, you know. And especially with a 4.5-pound axe, you know, this thing will tucker you out pretty quickly. I've been doing quite a bit of chopping lately, and I can tell you that, you know, these guys, these competitive choppers, and even some of these dudes on YouTube that are doing a lot of chopping, man, these guys are in shape, I'll tell you what, because even swinging a lighter 3.5-pound, 3.25-pound, I was swinging a 3-pound Snow and Neely yesterday for a little bit. Man, it wears you out. It wears you out. Swinging for 10 minutes like that really wears you out. When I did the Kelly versus Collins, I mean, it was 95 degrees out. And, you know, I mean, I wasn't winded to the point where I was wheezing or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, you know, like you start to get, you know, fatigued, especially in 95-degree heat. And, yeah, man, it starts to get a lot harder to be accurate with those things. And when you are flailing around with a super sharp axe, you know, not being accurate and getting careless is definitely something that you want to try to avoid. So I'm just taking the long way around now of saying that I think a 30 or a 31 might be a little better on this guy than a 28. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. Let me. Ooh, man, that coffee hits. A little refreshment here. But yeah, guys, this Tassie has 5 3/4, roughly 5 3/4 cutting edge, about 7.5 inches long, about a 4-inch eye. So actually, this one won't be insanely big of a pain in the ass to hang. 4-inch eye. That'll be about the same as hanging any old jersey, which is cool. But very excited about getting this one done. This might move to the front of the line, in all honesty. Really looking forward to swinging a Tasmanian. The only other Tasmanian I ever swung was a 4-pound unmarked. I think it was a high test, but it was a 4-pound unmarked one at my buddy Alex Cheftique's house. And yeah, man, that thing was a beast. But it didn't have the edge that I would have necessarily put on it. And it was chopping really well, even at that. So, but this one's ground nice and thin already. I think it just needs a little fine tuning, and it just needs the final honing here to be, you know, a real workhorse. This thing's going to be a wrecking machine. So, very cool, very cool. Well, guys, that's about all I got for you tonight. You know, as I always say, and I practice what I preach, guys, we gotta keep the axes waxed, gentlemen. And hope everybody's doing well. And until the next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Be good. Good night. Salutations. See you on the next one. Take care.